Welcome to the Disease Book. We're jumping right into one of the most fast moving, high stakes bacterial threats in public health, cholera. Now, you might think of this as a disease from the history books, but it's a very real, very present danger today. It actually acts as a strict indicator of a region's social and economic development. So, we are going to track the complete life cycle of this disease from its microscopic origins all the way to the coordinated global strategy that's the designed to defeat it once and for all. To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at the sheer scale of the threat. Researchers estimate there are between 1.3 and 4 million cases of cholera worldwide every single year. It's a strategic number, especially when you consider that this is an entirely preventable and easily treatable disease, and yet it's still causing tens of thousands of fatalities annually. So, here is our prize board for today: unmasking the threat, signs and symptoms, rapid treatment, prevention tactics, and global roadmap. Section 1: Unmasking the cholera threat. We are going to unmask the cholera threat, check out the signs and critical symptoms, dive into rapid treatment and management, break down prevention tactics, and finally look at the global roadmap to defeat cholera by 2030. Let's get right into section 1: Unmasking the cholera threat. We need to start by defining our target and figuring out exactly how it infiltrates the human body. Meet the microscopic culprit behind the disease, Vibrio. It's a pretty tough bacterium that targets your intestine to cause an acute diarrheal infection. What's wild that it usually takes a massive dose, over a million of these organisms, to actually breach your bodily defenses, survive your stomach acid, and cause illness. It has to follow a very specific pathway to find its next host. Essentially, this bacteria hitchhike into our systems straightly through a field or oral route. That means this pathogen absolutely thrives in environments that are lacking basic sanitation. Section 2: Signs and critical symptoms. So, whether someone is drinking contaminated water, eating vegetables fertilized with human waste, eating raw shellfish from tainted water, or just experiencing cross contamination from unwashed hands, these are the daily everybody vulnerabilities that this bacterium exploits. Moving on to Section 2: Signs and critical symptoms. Once the bacteria actually breach the perimeter, what does an attack look like? Because early detection here is literally a matter of life and death. Well, cholera presents a pretty wide spectrum of danger. Most infected people actually experience no symptoms at all or just mild watery diarrhea that you can easily manage with oral rehydration. But for about 10 to 20% of people who get sick, they suffer a sudden onset of severe disease. We're talking vomiting and profusing painless diarrhea, often described as right water stool. This rapid fluid loss leads to severe dehydration and shock, which incredibly can be fatal within mere hours if it's not treated. Section 3: Rapid Treatment and Management. Because it moves so fast, health workers basically have to become field detectives. To quickly confirm an outbreak, they use nutrient broths or filter paper to preparation samples and then deploy rapid diagnostic tests. These are simple dipstick tests that detect the color antigen in just 15 minutes. It's a total amateur because responders can instantly trace the threat on the ground before the lab even finishes growing a culture. Which brings us perfectly to Section 3: Rapid Treatment and Management. Once a severe case is confirmed, we have to immediately shift gears to emergency medical response, because here is the best news about cholera. Despite how aggressively it attacks, it is highly treatable. Think of this as the ultimate defense sequence at any cholera treatment center. Step 1 is triaging patients and assessing just how dehydrated they are. Step 2 is absolutely the most critical phase: rehydration. Section 4: Prevention Tactics. Depending on how bad this is done with oral rehydration solution or rapid IV fluids. Finally, step 3 is very brain complementary therapies like administering antibiotics or zinc for kids to help cut down the duration of the illness. But I really want to emphasize this crucial point. Fluid management is the absolute mainstay of cholera treatment. Yes, complementary therapies like antibiotics are great for reducing the severity, but they never ever replace the immediate life saving power of just putting fluids back into the body. When this aggressive rehydration protocol is done right, it drops the case fatality rate below 1%. Alright, section 4 is stopping spread and prevention tactics. Treating the sick is vital, absolutely, but exploring how we stop the disease from spreading in the first place. That's how we actually win this war. Our number one shield against transmission is what public health experts call wash interventions. Wash and oral cholera vaccines, water sanitation and hygiene. Safe water storage and rigorous chlorination are totally foundational here. If you cut off that contaminated water supply and properly treat the water, keeping those chlorine levels optimal, you physically break the bacteria's primary route of attack. But a wash is not just about building pipes, it's about human behavior. We can empower communities with daily defense habits. Things like washing your hands thoroughly with soap for 10 to 20 seconds, drinking only boiled or treated water, cooking food all the way through, and crucially adhering to safe rural practice since the bodies of deceased patients are highly infectious. These actions physically break the chain of transmission right at the community level. Alongside those of daily practice, we also have a powerful tactile overlay, oral cholera vaccines or OCVS. Vaccines like PL and Uvacol Plus require two doses for full adult immunity. Section 5 Global Roadmap to Defeat Cholera. They act like a temporary shield, quickly protecting vulnerable communities during acute outbreaks while the permanent long-term water and sanitation infrastructure is being built. Let's pull back for Section 5 Global Roadmap to Defeat Cholera. Taking a step back from individual towns and treatment centers, let's look at the massive coordinated counter-offensive happening worldwide. This has been building into an international effort for a long time from the start of the Global Task Force and Cholera Control way back in 1992 to the creation of an incredibly vaccine stockpile in 2013 all the way to the launch of the global roadmap in 2017. The ultimate target date they have set is 2030. The goal is massive 90% reduction in cholera deaths and totally eliminating that disease in up to 20 countries. To actually hit that 2030 target, the roadmap is focusing on three key strategic axes. First, early detection and rapid response, getting those 15-minute tests and fluids out first. Strategic access and conclusion. Second, targeted prevention, meaning focusing wash interventions right at the high risk hotspots. And third, global coordination of resources. This whole strategy lines up perfectly with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, proving that the ultimate cure is not just medical. It requires universal access to clean infrastructure. So, I want to leave you with this finally provocative thought. We know the pathogen, we have the rapid test, and we know the basic fluid replacement drops fatalities below 1%. And we know that clean water stops it dead in its tracks. So, if the cure is as simple as safe water and rehydration salts, why are millions still at risk? It really highlights that cholera is no longer a medical mystery. It is a profound symptom of global inquiry, a lack of basic social development that we absolutely have the knowledge, the power to solve. Thanks for joining me for this explainer and keep asking the big questions.